Hello, my loves, and welcome to our study of the book of Joel. I am going to start with one very prescient point, and we're going to do some we're going to use some reference tools in this study, multiple different kinds, but I'm going to start here. Joel 1. So, what I will say about the book of Joel is that it is misunderstood in a few different aspects. And no, I don't claim perfect knowledge of everything, but identifiably and specifically with chapter 2, there is so much taken out of context with regard to what people expect will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars before the day of the Lord. And yet there is absolutely no reason to be taking these things out of context because Acts 2 tells you specifically what those things refer to. In fact, in Acts 2, Peter quotes directly from Joel 2 to tell you that the prophecy of Joel 2 is being fulfilled at that very time. For some reason, there are people who equate the sun, moon, stars, things that are in Joel 2 to events that are outside of Pentecost and that we should observe or need to observe or will observe prior to or tied to the rapture or even the second coming. A lot of people who take these things out of context, in my experience, are not pre-tribbers because they're looking for signs to occur in the lead up to the rapture, say, and they're tying these signs to things in the book of Revelation and suggesting that we are going to be here to see them. I look forward to going through this book to clarify context on a lot of things. Joel is, in my opinion, the mightiest of the minor prophets. The exception to that might be Zechariah, but I would say Joel is my favorite for a reason. And so I will do my best to do justice to this book. Having said that, sorry, I had to pause the video to see if there was a way that I could get rid of the ads that pop up on this page. I hate them, but it's not me. It's just this website. So anyway, having said that, we're going to start with Joel 1. And I'm not going to go through the whole chapter. What I'm going to do is enter you into this book to show you what the context is that we're going to use throughout all 3 chapters. Because this gives us placement into the end times. And the book is going to, I want to say, jump around a bit because it's not, but there is context established to where you need to back up to an incident that occurred in order to understand how it factors into the end times. Kind of like Revelation 11 does. You've not been introduced to the temple or the 2 witnesses prior to trumpet 6, yet they will have been there. But you're being brought up to speed and they're being introduced near the midpoint because trumpet 6 is related to the death of the 2 witnesses whose time to prophesy will meet its end during trumpet 6. And then trumpet 7 is the abomination of desolation, which relates to the temple. So you absolutely need to understand the 2 witnesses in the temple, and yet you're not introduced to them being present during the 70th week until trumpet 6. So there's a little bit of a backtrack necessary to bring the reader up to speed to be introduced to things that will have been there but have not been previously introduced. Joel 2 is very similar in that layout where it's talking about events that are related to the second coming of Christ. And yet there will be something that occurred well prior to the second coming that when Joel prophesied did not exist. But then something happened well after Joel's time to change a paradigm. And that paradigm change becomes central to the second coming of Jesus Christ. And namely, this is going to be the sending of the Spirit on Pentecost, which is where Acts 2 factors in. Because that factors into the latter rain. When Jesus came the first time, he's called the former rain given moderately. When he returns the second time, he's the glorified Christ. Glorified by the Spirit, who will have since been sent, which is why when he returns, it's the former rain and the latter rain. Well, the sending of the latter rain occurred on Pentecost, which is the link to Acts 2. Joel 2 occurs in Acts 2 in part, and Peter directly tells you that. So there is a little bit of a backtrack necessary to bring the reader up to speed about intervening events between the time Joel gave the prophecy and between the time the prophecy comes to fruition. However, there is a context that this entire book is written in, and this entire book is written in the context of the end times. What I would like to do is show you that by virtue of verse 4. So, Joel 1:1. The word of the Lord that came to Joel, the son of Pethuel, whatever. Hear this, ye old men, and give ear, all ye inhabitants of the land. Hath this been in your days, or even in the days of your fathers? And the answer to that is no. Tell ye your children of it, and let your children tell their children and their children another generation. Because this is going to apply to all of Israel. When it occurs, it will apply to all of them. And this is a prophecy that is pertinent, that everyone needs to know, because it has massive implications. What is the prophecy? That which the palmer worm hath left, the locust eaten. That which the locust hath eaten, that which the locust hath left, hath the cankerworm eaten. And that which the cankerworm hath eaten, the caterpillar hath eaten. So there's a palmer worm, a locust, a cankerworm, and a caterpillar. And they're all going to eat. Nothing is going to be left, because what one leaves, the next will destroy. And so this is going to apply to all of Israel. I'd like you to put on your thinking caps for just a moment and tell me where, tell yourself where, there is in the end times palmer worm or locust or cankerworm or caterpillar. Specifically within the confines of Revelation, when do you see the introduction of one or any of those things? Do you know what a palmer worm or a locust or a cankerworm or a caterpillar is? I would think two of those are readily identifiable. The plague of locusts in Exodus, that was obviously used as a plague. So what you're looking at is that there's nothing new under the sun. What applied as a plague before will apply as a plague in the future. And where do you see any of those mentioned regarding the end times? I'll answer that in a moment. Awake, ye drunkards, and weep and howl, all ye drinkers of wine, because of the new wine, for it is cut off from your mouth. For a nation is come upon my land strong and without number, whose teeth are as the teeth of a lion, and he hath the cheek teeth of a great lion. So, I'm going to stop here, and we're going to look at the context of verses 4 and 6 specifically. Verse 5, awake ye drunkards. Oh, this actually has implication in First Thessalonians 5, where it says that they that are drunk are drunken in the night. And you're talking about the thief in the night coming upon those who are not children of the light and of the day. So you're talking about drunkards, and Jesus talks about this actually in, let's see, Matthew 24. I don't have my Bible in front of me. Matthew 24 and 1 Thessalonians 5. So let's look at drunkards. Drunk. The evil servant. Remember when Jesus is talking about the two groups of people that are going to be saved when he returns, or the two people groups that will exist when he returns at the second coming, the saved and the unsaved. Well, obviously the evil drunk dude is not akin to the saved people. He's akin to the unsaved. Jesus will come upon him as a thief in the night, because he's a child of night and darkness, not of light and day. So he says, but if the evil servant say in his heart, my Lord delay this coming, and shall begin to smite his fellow servants and to eat and drink with the drunken, then the Lord of that servant shall come in a day when he looketh for him not, in an hour that he's not aware, shall cut him asunder, appoint him his portion with the hypocrites, and there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So you're talking about exclusion from the kingdom. And then the same thing in 1 Thessalonians 5. For they that sleep in the night, and they that be drunken, are drunken in the night. So there's a couple of points of context right there when he's talking about awake ye drunkards. Well, he's clearly not talking about those who believe in the Lord Jesus Christ and are saved. But there's going to come a point where that which makes them drunk is cut off from their mouth. And in the time when that applies, you're talking about total devastation of the land. That which the palmer worm hath left, the locust eaten. That which the locust has left, the cankerworm eaten. And that which the cankerworm has left, the caterpillar is eaten. Why? For a nation has come up upon my land, strong and without number, whose teeth are as the teeth of a lion, and he hath the cheek teeth of a great lion. Okay, so here's where we're going to go to the interlinear study, and we're going to look at Joel 1:4. And no, I have not done this prior. I just kind of already know where it's going to go because I've done this study before. In fact, in my 5th book, which is titled and is a free resource on my academia page, For that is determined shall be done, I went through an expositional study of the entire book of Joel, and that was back in 2017. So if you've read that book, you will well know what I'm going to discuss in this Joel series. And if you haven't, well, there's the Joel series I'm going to do for you to explain it. But what I have here is this website called studylight.org, and this is what I use for interlinear studies. What I mean by interlinear is that in the Hebrew Old Testament, it will give you the Greek language so that you can correlate the Greek, the same references from the Hebrew Old Testament to the Greek New Testament and find out where these similar words are located. But what you'll note, and I'm just going to show you the truth of this, palmer worm is not going to be in the New Testament. So that's not going to be available in the Greek. Like the Greek word might be there, but it won't be clickable because it doesn't exist in the New Testament. Cankerworm doesn't exist in the New Testament. Locust does. We'll go through that. Caterpillar does not exist in the New Testament. Why does it say that? Oh, because I spelled it. Ha! Gotta spell things right, Heather. It's not in the New Testament. So what we should note, and I just already knew this, but my guess is that you guys probably knew this too. I'll give benefit of the doubt. Palmer worm, you can select it in the Hebrew, but I'm going to guess it relates to this word here. It's not selectable because it does not appear in the Greek New Testament. Locust does, so we'll go through that. Cankerworm is selectable here, so you get a Hebrew word, but there's not going to be a counterpart of it in the Greek. So it's probably this one here. And caterpillar is not going to be selectable. So there are words here in the Greek that are not selectable because they do not appear in the Greek New Testament. And that would be palmer worm and cankerworm and caterpillar. Now, when we go through this and we look at the definitions, a palmer worm is a kind of locust. Okay, so a cankerworm, it's a devourer, it's a young locust. And the caterpillar is a ravager, i.e. a locust. So what this is basically telling you is that there are 4 different Hebrew words in view. If you click on each one of them, they are different. But identifiably, they're all locusts. And so really, this is what we're going to look at is the default locust. And yeah, this does appear in the New Testament. So let's look. And I will do this in 2 different ways. Here, no, I just have to find it. I'm not sure which word. Consume. There we go. Is G200 locusts. And it appears 4 times in the King James in the New Testament. It's G200, G for Greek. So, locust, New Testament, 4 times. Hey, look at that. And you can also go to Blue Letter Bible and type in G200, and it will do the exact same thing and give you the same 4 references. So you can use a Strong's Concordance and look up right here, the reference number. Or you can just use the keyword search and it will give you the same thing. Or, yeah, those are the only 2 things. So just to give you an idea of how to look these things up, I start with StudyLight. I start with StudyLight when I am going to do an interlinear study of the Hebrew Old Testament. This does not help you with the Greek. It's only for the Old Testament. And the interlinear study allows you to choose this RAH to give you the Greek rendering of the verse. It does not work in all contexts. It works in many of them, but not in all of them. So just know that. And it will tell you what the lexical or the lexicon number is, so that you can go to Blue Letter Bible and look it up. I would, as a general rule, always defer to using the lexicon number. It will be H for Hebrew. So if I'm up here in this Hebrew verse, Palmer Worm is H1501. It's Old Testament, Hebrew is H, and New Testament Greek is G200. So I would always get in the habit of taking it over to Blue Letter Bible, just so we understand where specifically this reference is. Because sometimes the word itself in English might be different, even if the number is the same. In this case, it's locusts in all of them. Great. Where does the word locusts, devouring the land as a judgment, appear related to the end times? Revelation 9. So, Revelation 9 is where we're going to go, and we're going to read context about what Joel is telling the generations of Israel, the children of Israel, the Israelites, to warn their children about perpetually. Revelation 9:1. The fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. He opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit as the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, nor any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God in their foreheads. Now, understand that this is them being released in trumpet 5, and the specific judgment to which they pertain is to torment men for 5 months, not the earth, not to eat the green things, which what locusts would normally do. However, Joel is telling you about the time that's going to be apart from that specific 5-month judgment, because once they're released, they're released. It's not like they're only there for 5 months and then they're done. They're going to do something specific to the people to harm and not kill. Those people will want to die and they will not be able to, which we'll find out in a second as we continue to read. But just know that the locusts that are released in this trumpet 5 are not only there for 5 months. They're only doing the trumpet 5 thing for 5 months. But they will be there from the time they are released during trumpet 5 through the entire remainder of the 70th week. And obviously, there will be other destruction that they are responsible for. So they are released in trumpet 5, which means that Joel is telling you about something that comes after trumpet 5, because in Joel 1, they're devouring the land. Devouring the land is something they're specifically forbidden to do from the first 5 months that they are released. So Joel is giving you a place marker right in chapter 1 to tell you that what's going to come upon Israel, that they're being warned about perpetually through generations, is after the 5 months, which is after the beginning of trumpet 5, which means typically, not typically, that's the wrong word, which means generally we should understand that these are going to be more specifically related to the second half of the 70th week, up to and including the second coming of Jesus Christ. But they will be impacting man in one way or another from the commencement of the opening of the pit in trumpet 5 through the entire end of the 70th week. Joel's talking about destruction of the land. So that is after this first 5 months. So we're just orienting ourselves for understanding. But what we should understand is that Joel 1 is telling you about the time when these locusts are going to devour the land and the people. So let's continue on. It was commanded that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing nor any tree. Again, what normal locusts would do. But only those men which have not the seal of God in their forehead. And it was given that they should not kill them, But they should be tormented 5 months, and their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man. And in those days shall men seek death, and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. The shape of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle, which is going to come into play in the imagery that we're given in Joel 2. So keep that in the back of your mind, that it is forthcoming as a description of them in Joel 2, so you can go read that if you would like, but we're not going to get into that in this video. And on their head were, as it were, crowns like gold, and their faces were the faces of men. And they had hair as the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions. What did Joel tell us? In verse 6, for a nation is come up upon my land strong and without number, whose teeth are the teeth of a lion, and he has the cheek teeth of a great lion. Their teeth were as the teeth of lions. What Joel is describing is the locust army that will ascend out of the bottomless pit in trumpet 5. And yet what he's talking about is not specifically pertinent to trumpet 5, because again, they're tormenting men in trumpet 5. In Joel, they're devouring the land. One after another, all these different kinds of locusts, one after the other, the cankerworm, the caterpillar, the palmer worm, all of them. All different types of locusts devouring the land. And what one leaves behind, the other will clean up shop on. So that is what it's talking about, is trumpet 5's locust army. But it's referencing the locust army after the completion of trumpet 5 and through the end of the 70th week. They had breastplates, as it were, the breastplates of iron. Their sound, the sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots of many horses running to battle. Again, I would encourage you to read up on Joel 2. The first half of the book will give you similar language. Sorry, the first half of the chapter will give you similar language. And they had tails like unto scorpions. Their stings were in their tails, and their power was to hurt men 5 months. They had a king over them, which was the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. This is specifically why you know that Gog and Magog is going to occur prior to the commencement of the 70th week. Because Gog is described as the king of the locusts. When these locusts are let go from the bottomless pit, they will have another king over them. So that means Gog will have been displaced and killed prior to the locusts reappearing. And for those of you who did not know that, this is the Septuagint that I use, and the 12 prophets, Amos, the book I said I'm not going to go through. Actually, I'm just going to search Gog. Yep, Amos 7:1. The Lord showed me, and behold, an early offspring of grasshoppers coming, and behold, one locust, a larva, Gog the king. And it will be as if they devour the grass of the land, etc. So Gog is not Apollyon. Gog is Gog, and Apollyon is Apollyon. Gog is the king of the locusts, and he will die and be given a burial place in Ezekiel 38 and 39. Ezekiel 39 specifically. When the locusts reappear, they will have a new king over them, who is the angel of the bottomless pit. This is how you know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that Gog and Magog occurs prior to trumpet 5 at the very least. But it's pre-70th week. Anyway. One woe is past, and behold, there come 2 woes more hereafter. The 6th angel sounded, I heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar, which is before God, saying to the 6th angel, which had the trumpet, loose the 4 angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. The 4 angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year for to slay the 3rd part of men. And these have the head of lions, which makes them demonstrably different from the locust army because they had the faces of men. And their power was in their mouth and their tails. Their tails are like unto serpents, which is different than the tails of scorpions in the locust army. So you're talking about 2 entirely different sets of chimeras or demonic entities in trumpet 5 versus trumpet 6. But they're no less bad than one another. So in trumpet 5, men will want to die and can't. And then if you want to be frank about it, they'll get their wish in Trumpet 6, because a third part of men are going to die by the horrible beasts that are released in Trumpet 6. So this is the introduction to the book of Joel. And I wanted to orient you guys who are interested in this, because this is going to be entirely and specifically relevant to a very, very particular time in world history. And we orient ourselves to this. We orient ourselves to this right in the beginning of the book. So I'm going to leave this here. I'm going to give you guys the opportunity to digest this and to look ahead to the next chapter. If you have questions, this will give you an opportunity to develop those questions, because part of this I will do live. But this beginning part, because I wanted to jump around to different websites, I did not want to do live. But I want to orient you to where we are at in the end times. It is a very, very specific reference point. And the context, again, is established in the very first part of Joel 1. And yes, they are supposed to tell their generations, all of their generations, about this. I don't know if they do, but the command was given to do that right here. And there's a reason for that, because the Israelites are going to go through hell in the very near future. And part of the going through hell is going to be what's going to come upon the earth in the latter days, which applies to the locusts, which then you read into Revelation 9. And that is before the flight of the remnant. This part here in Joel is after the flight of the remnant. But when they start, when the locusts are released to start, it is before the flight of the remnant. And thus it is absolutely applicable to what Israel will endure on earth during the 70th week, which is why we need to make sure that we preach the gospel to all people, so that we can help as many people as possible escape what is coming upon the world. And I will say escape, because in the context of Revelation 9, that is evil of the highest order, which we have no comprehension of. Yeah, we get to escape that. But if you guys have any questions, let me know. But this is the introduction to the book of Joel. Welcome to you all.